you're thinking 18 months, even with all the work that you've already done to this point and the planning that you are taking with lots of different potential vaccinations and building up for that now?
Yeah, so there's an approach called RNA vaccine that people like Moderna, CureVac, and others are using. That in 2015, we'd identified that as very promising for pandemics and for other applications as well. And so if everything goes perfectly with the RNA approach, we could actually beat the 18 months. We don't want to create unrealistic expectations. The efficacy of vaccines in older people is always a huge challenge. You know, it turns out the flu vaccine isn't that effective in elderly people. Most of the benefit comes from younger people not spreading it because they're vaccinated, and that benefits on a community basis the elderly. Here, we clearly need a vaccine that works in the upper age range because they're most at risk of that. And doing that so that you amp it up so it works in older people and yet you don't have side effects. You know, if we have 1 in 10,000 side effects, that's, way more, 700,000, people who will suffer from that. So really understanding the safety at gigantic scale across all age ranges, pregnant, male, female, undernourished, existing comorbidities, it's very, very hard. And that actual decision of, okay, let's go and give this vaccine to the entire world, governments will have to be involved because there will be some risk and indemnification needed before that can be decided on.
Let me ask you sort of rapid fire, a bunch of questions that we get different answers from depending on every person we ask, but I think you have better sources. What is the mortality rate? What is happening right now? How many people do you think it kills percentage-wise?
Because you don't see all the cases, you get the denominator wrong. It's clearly, 1%, 1.2%. Germany is a great example where they got their testing act together and they have interventions, and they're at about that rate. The China data after the Wuhan overload came in at about that rate. Places like Spain and Italy aren't testing broadly yet. Their testing is even more limited than ours, which is still completely misprioritized. So, it's not much more than 1.2% if you have a fully functioning health system to treat those who get serious respiratory problems.
What about asymptomatic spread? I've read that anywhere from 10 to 25% of the spread could be coming from people who don't show symptoms. What do you think it is?
Yeah, that's we have this Seattle Coronavirus Assessment Network that's really going to understand that. I think it's very unlikely the numbers are anywhere that high. I know there were studies, but the way they were done, chest CT scans are going to show you other diseases. It's very unlikely. There's a lot of asymptomatics who never become symptomatic, and yet they're infecting people. And the work, and there's many countries that the foundation has gathered together on this, including the UK and Germany, and we're going to get some other sites in the US on this. We need to know that number because that deeply affects rebounds when opening up. And there is some data that suggests it's not a gigantic number, but very, very important to pin that down.